Welcome to another of Dr. Sirme YouTube upload. For this one, we're doing KCSE 2021 Mathematics Paper 1. That is now Section 2. To all my subscribers, thank you so much. Do not forget to continue supporting Dr. Sirme Initiative for the Very Needy Student. Kindly link with my WhatsApp there. Thank you and welcome. Hello, my viewers and my student. This is Dr. Sirme, your tutor on this platform, just to ensure that you do not get another grade, A in mathematics, A in chemistry. Good. I promise to take you through section 2 of KCSE 2021 Mathematics Paper 1. Thank you so much. Remember, here you're supposed to do your best 5 questions. So as you choose the question, choose that you can score the highest. Otherwise, for this one, I'll do all the 8 questions. Kindly watch the video to the end. Question number 17, you have a tin that is used to pack some jam. It is cylindrical in shape, has a radius of 5, a height of 15 centimeters. Then the tins are to be packed in a carton that measures 60 by 30 by 30 height centimeters. Then part A, you determine the maximum number of tins that can be packed in the carton. Then part B, you're given an empty carton, an empty tin. The masses are given. The jam that can be contained or can be packed in the tin is given. A pickup there that can carry a maximum of 600 kg. Then you determine the number of cartons that can be carried or ferried by this pickup. Then they're talking about part C of the factory selling each carton to a retailer at 2,880. Each tin is sold, the retailer sells it at 110. You calculate the percentage profit there. That is question number 17. Given that there is a tin that has a radius of 5 centimeters and a height of 15 centimeters. This tin contains some jam. It is used to pack some jam. Then it is to be packed in a carton that measures 60 length by 30 and the height is 30 centimeters. The first question is, you determine the maximum number of tins that can be packed in this carton. Now, assuming that is a tin that is packed inside the carton and the radius is 5, so the diameter is 10. So how many tins will be aligned here? It will be the length 60 divided by 10. Then we go to the length. Remember now this diameter here it applies again 10. So for you to determine how many tins will be arranged along the length or the width in this case will be 30 divided by 10. Having packed the tin, one tin inside, so I ask myself how many tins will be packed over here. You see that? So this will be 30, the height, divided by the height of the tin. That is over 15. So if the student was able to do that, and that's where method 1 was. Then getting 6 times 3 times 2, a mark for answer, which can also be given at this point there. Part B of this question, you're given that an empty carton has a mass of 650. Then an empty tin, 300 grams. Then the jam that is packed in one tin is 990 grams. So the question is, or rather you also told here, there is a pickup that is used to transport the jam, can carry a maximum of 600 kgs. Now, the question is, you determine how many cartons, the maximum number of cartons this pickup can ferry or can carry. So the first thing you can do, the student can work out the mass of the jam and the tin. An empty, an empty tin plus the jam. So that is 990, add 300. So that's where the student gets the M1. Otherwise, some students can combine this step and even the second step. So, but we can now have broken them for you. Then the mass of the carton full of the jam. Remember, the jam is packed inside the tin. Good. With that, we have an empty carton. We have the mass of the jam and the tin multiplied by the number of tins per carton. So that is it. With your calculator, you can do that, and you find that one carton full of the jam packed inside the tins will have a mass of 47,000 grams. You can decide to convert to kg, but no big deal. You can still work with it in that case. Now, and that's where the student scores another method mark. The number of cartons that this pickup can carry. Remember, the pickup can carry 600 kgs. So you can multiply by 1000 to make them grams. Then divide by 47,000 mass of, that is one carton. So that's where now the student scores another M1. Now, if you do that, you get something 12.7 something. Okay, you are not supposed to round off this to 13 because it is on the lower side. Actually, the number of cartons, it's a full number, and we round down, so it can carry a maximum of 12 cartons. The 13th one will not get a space, otherwise the pickup will have carried more than 600. So with that, the answer again 1. So remember, this section B 4 marks, section A 2 marks. Now we go on to section C. You're told that the company that makes the jam sells the one carton to a retailer at 2,880 shillings. Then the retailer then is to sell to consumers. So to the consumers, now the selling price will be 36 tins per carton multiplied by the price. Remember, they told that they are selling one tin at 110 multiplied by 110. This is the amount of money the retailer will make from one carton. The question is, we determine the percentage profit. As simple as that. Remember, by working out this method 1, then working out the profit. That is, profit is equivalent to the selling price minus the buying price. Getting the profit, another 1 mark. Then you go ahead to work out the percentage profit. So percentage profit is given by profit divided by the buying price multiplied by 100. That's what I've done here. Method 1, then it will be 37.5%. Another 4 marks. Okay, question number 18. You're given an equilateral triangle ABC with the sides 10 centimeter. So part A, you determine the area of that triangle. Then part B, you're given that the triangle forms the base of a pyramid with a height 15 centimeter. You calculate the volume of that pyramid. Part C, you're given that the solid pyramid in B above is recast to form a cone with radius 3.5 centimeter. So Roman 1 of part C is the student to determine the height of the cone. Roman 2 is to determine the surface area of the same cone. With question number 18, you're given an equilateral triangle. And an equilateral triangle is a triangle whose sides are equal. All the 3 sides are equal. So you're given that one side is 10 centimeters. So even this one is 10 centimeters. Even this one is 10 centimeters. Part A, the easiest question you can have, the area of this triangle. So you can decide to use the sine formula. You can use the sine formula. That area is given by a half AB, where AB are 2 sides, then sine of an angle between the 2 sides AB. So for this one, getting an angle there, it will be 360 divided by 3. You get 60. So with that, I can do a half times 10 one side times 10 the other side, the sine of 60. So once you do that, you're able to get that. So the scoring there, the method 1, the answer 1. If the student decides to use what we call the hero's formula, remember hero's formula, area is usually given by the square root of s into s minus a, then S minus B, S minus C, where A, B, C are the three sides. S is I have the perimeter. I have the perimeter. So the perimeter for this one is 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15. Then to be the other sides, 10 minus 5, 10 minus 5, 10 minus 5. And the answer will be the same. Method 1, the answer there 1. Part B of this question, you have that the triangle here forms a base of a pyramid that looks like this. So this is the base, then the pyramid. The height of the pyramid is given to be 15. Yes, the question is we work out the volume of this pyramid. Remember, the volume of a pyramid is given by a third base area times height. Now this is the height that is given. The base area, we have worked out it here. So it will be a third multiplied by the area that we already have, 43.3, then multiplied by 15. And once you do that, you get the volume. With that, we have the method 1, the answer 1. So that part B, 2 marks. Already we have scored 2 other marks there. Part C, you're given the instructions very clearly here that the same pyramid is recast into a cone. So this one is recast into a cone. So you're given the radius of this cone, 3.5 centimeters. So the height of this cone, it's not given. We can also represent this with h. The question is, we determine that h, determine the height of the cone. With that, it will be area of a cone, again, a third base area times height. A third base area, that is 22 over 7 times 3.5 squared, the radius squared. The area of a circle, remember the base is a circle, pi r squared, times h equals to the volume. The volume is the same. Remember what these people have done. They have recast the pyramid into a cone. And what does that mean? The material used to make the pyramid and the material used to make the cone are the same. So the volumes are the same. So with that, we equate to the volume of the original pyramid. So with that, a third base area, yes, like I've done. Then that is for method 1. Then we go ahead. We want to work out the value of h. So what we do, we can multiply by the reciprocal of a third, that is 3 over 1. The reciprocal of pi, that is 7 over 22, the reciprocal of this 1 over 3.5 square. And with that, you will end up with 16.87 centimeters. That is the height of the cone. C part 2, we need to work out the surface area of the same cone, the surface area of this cone. So you can't work out the surface area without getting the slant height, L. Because remember, surface area of a cone is usually given by pi r, that's radius, times the slant height, L. So with that, we have this right angled triangle. The radius is 3.5, the height 16.87. So you just need to use the Pythagoras theorem. The base squared times height squared is equivalent to L squared. Then you find the square root. Good. With that, if you are able to figure out that, method 1, the answer there 1. Surface area, if it is a solid, remember to include the circle, the base. So the base, the area of the base, pi r squared, yes, you get 38.5, added to the area of the curved part, pi r l. So once I do that, I get 189.53. Then I add the 2, I'll get this. This one is the answer 1, yes. And of course, the method here is 1 for another 2 mark. So remember, this one 2 mark. So in total, this one is 4 marks. That is question number 18. Well done. With the question number 19, they are talking of 2 schools. We have Elimu School, we have the Soma School. These 2 schools are buying textbooks from a bookshop A. The number of bookshop Elimu buys and the Soma's buys are given. Then the student is supposed to form some equations using X and Y to represent the price of textbooks and excess books. Part 2, it's to use the matrix method to solve the simultaneous equation above. Then part C, you're given more information about another bookshop B that has the textbook going at 5% less than the textbook, the bookshop A. Then you have the excess book going at 5% more. Then another school, Kasuku, buys the same number of textbook as the Elimu school. The question here is to calculate or determine the difference between the amount of money that the Kasuku school spent compared to Elimu school. In this question, you're given that there is a school by the name Elimu School that bought some 25 textbooks from a bookshop, then bought 35 excess books. The total amount of money spent by this school is 13,500. Then you have another school by the name Soma. Soma school bought 21 textbooks and 38 excess books. In total, you're given that this school spent 1,300 less than the first school. So if you do the subtraction there, it is 12,200 shillings. Now, question 1, you form an equation or a pair of simultaneous equation representing this scenario here. Remember, you're instructed that X to represent, this one to represent the price of a textbook. This is the textbook. And Y will represent the price of an excess book. So if you have to form the equation, it is the number of books bought, like the textbook, times X, the price per textbook. So if a student was able to do this, forming the two equations, yes, 2 mark. Part B of the question, you are instructed to use matrix method to solve this pair of simultaneous equations. So what you can do, and what I've tried to do here, the equation 1 can easily be simplified. Like you can simplify that by 5. You divide this by 5, you get 5. By 5 here, you get 7. And this one, if you divide by 5, you get 2,700. So I have tried to represent the matrix of the coefficient that way, the matrix of the variables, and the matrix of the constants. Now, in this case, remember this will be 2,700 in that case. So this is the first representation. Then you find the determinant of the matrix of the coefficient. How do you get the determinant? The product of the elements in the leading diagonal, subtract the product of the other diagonal. That is 5 times 38, subtract 21 times 7. By doing that, the student was able to get that. Then the inverse of that matrix, the inverse of the matrix of the coefficient there, it will be 1 over determinant, yes. Then you exchange the elements in the leading diagonal, exchange the position, like it was 5, 38, to be 38, 5. Then the element in the other diagonal takes a different sign. So 1 over determinant of this. And this is where the student was to score the first mark. Now, if the student is able to arrange this one, then the student is towards solving this pair of simultaneous equation using matrix method. One concept a student need to remember is that an inverse of a matrix multiplied by the matrix itself, you get a unit matrix. And that unit matrix just behaves as 1. So when you multiply it by the matrix of the variables, you will get the same, the matrix of the variable. On this other side, you have the inverse of the matrix from here all the way to here, multiplied by the matrix of the constants there. So if the student was to get there, another mark. Now, it's just a matter of operation. This student needs to multiply these, just multiplying that. So remember what is happening. 1 over 43 is there. 38 multiplied by 2,700 plus negative 7 multiplied by 12,200. That is what exactly is happening here. Then the lower one will be negative 21 multiplied by 2,700 here plus 5 multiplied by 12,200. So with that, the student was able to score another 1 mark. And opening the bracket here with this, the student is able to get, now this is another method 1, and then working out, and then corresponding here, each textbook is this, Yep, together with this one, the Alexis book is 100. And with that, the question was well solved. A bit detailed there, but very doable. You're given that in another bookshop, this is now in a bookshop B. In bookshop B, the price of a book is 5% less. That is, it's 95%. And the price of an excess book is 5% more. So with that, what exactly do you need to do? This Kasuku school bought the same number of books as Elimu school. So what exactly is happening? 25 books multiplied by 95% of the price of a book, which is 400, you get that. 35 books like Elimu school multiplied by 105, yes, then times 100, the price of one exercise book. So you get that. Then you add. The equation is the difference between the amount of money spent by Kasuku and Elimu. You just do the difference there. And of course, by doing the difference, method 1, answer here 1. Remember both of these answers, yes, these two answers gives you another method 1. So that is 3 mark. Kindly follow what exactly I've done on the board and try to do it yourself. That is question number 19. Question 20, you're given that figure A, B, C, D. All the dimensions are given. Then part A, you're supposed to find the length of AC. That is Roman 1. Roman 2, you're supposed to find the length of DC on the figure. Then Roman 3, you're supposed to find the angle BAD. Then, of course, calculate the area of the entire quadrilateral at 1 decimal place. Number 20, you're given a quadrilateral, a four-sided figure here. It is marked A, B, C, D. You're given that AB is 8 centimeters, BC is 6 centimeters. You're given angle ABC 50 centimeters, angle ABC 70 centimeters. The first question, that is A Roman 1, you're supposed to work out the length of this side. You're supposed to work out AC. AC. If you look at this triangle ABC, you have side AB, you have BC. So you're looking for you're finding the AC, the third side, and you have an angle. So the best use there is cosine rule, the cosine rule. And this is the cosine rule here, the formula there. That AC squared will be given by AB squared, BC squared, then minus 2AB, the cos of the angle given there. And if I substitute what I know AB, I know BC, and then this other part, that is twice AB cos 70. By doing that, method 1 there. Then remember this is AC squared. So with AC squared, you find the square root here, and you find the final answer, that is the length AC. So AC is 8.2 centimeters. Roman 2 of the same, we are going to work out the length of DC. Triangle ADC is an isosceles triangle. This side and this side are equal. What does that mean? I can drop a perpendicular from this end. And if I do that, I will bisect AC such that A to a point here is a half of 8.2. So it will be 4.1, yes, 4.1. Then the angle here, this angle also is bisected, so it is 25. So I'm working with a triangle that looks like this. This one is 25. The length here is 4.1. So with that, I can use SOHCAHTOA. That is the trigonometric ratios. And I'm working out the hypotenuse. So if that is the case, this will be the opposite of this angle. So you're going to use the sine. Sine of any angle is given by opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse. So that will be the opposite, 4.1, divided by the hypotenuse that I do not know. The sine of 25. The angle here is 25. Sine of 25 is 4.1 divided by the hypotenuse that I don't know, DC. So with that, I'm going to now to operate. If the student is to show us that one, that's a mark. Then finally, working out to find the angle. Remember what I've done here, it's just to cross multiply. 4 0.1 times 1, then DC times sine 25, then divide by sine 25 for you to end up with this. So that is part 2. Part 3, you're working out the angle DAB, the whole of that angle, DAB. With that, we can first of all find an angle here. We can work out this angle before we even do it. That is angle ABC. And what do I do with that? I can use the sine, this is now it's called the sine rule, the sine formula of the sine rule. What does that mean? 8.2, this length here. Remember what I'm working with now. It's a triangle with 8.2 here. Yes, this is 8 and this is 6. Okay, and I know this angle is 70. That's 70. So 8.2 over the opposite angle here, sine of 70, is equivalent to 6 over an angle here that I'm looking for. That is angle ABC. So once I have this, I can just do the cross multiplication, and I find the sine of BAC is as given, 6 times sine 70 divided by 8.2. Having done that, I get a ratio there. So I only need to find the sine inverse of this ratio, and I get the angle there is 43.44. Remember, if a student is able to relate this, a 1 mark there. And with that, I can go ahead and work out this angle. Remember, this angle ABAD is made by the two angles there. So I already have this 43.44, then I work out this. This is an isosceles triangle. So if I subtract 50 from 180, I will end up with these two angles that are equal. I divide by 2, I get the angle 65. So for me to find the entire angle A, that is BAD, I need to add the 2. So add 65 to 43.44. So having done that, you have the angle. So for the addition, 1, for the answer, 1. Finally, we need to work out the area of the entire quadrilateral. It's made up of the two triangles. We have the triangle here. That is, we can use the sine formula. That area is given by a half AB sine of theta, the angle between the two. So the area of this one, a half times 8 times 6, 8 and 6, then sine of 70. That one, we get this. So for working out that, a method 1. The other triangle, the same way. This side and this side, we know. It is the same DC we worked somewhere, 9.7. So it is a half, 9.7, 9.7. Even here it is 9.7. So 9.7 squared, then the sine of 50, the angle between the two sides. Having done that, another method 1, adding them up and getting the answer, 1 mark. For the 10 marks for number 20. Question number 21, you're given an equation, a quadratic equation. You're supposed to solve for x. Then part B of question number 21, application of quadratic equation again. You're given that John cycled 6 kilometers using average speed of 2x minus 3. Then you have Peter, who walked 2.4 kilometers at an average speed of x kilometers per hour. Then you're given that Peter took 16 minutes less than John. So determine the time in minutes that John took to reach the school. That is question number 21. Solve for x. The issue here is to expand. So like we did before with quadratic identities, so I can expand here. So this is x squared, then x times negative 4 times 2, again, negative 8, then negative 4 squared, equals to, on this other side, it will be x times 2x, that is 2x squared, then x times 7, x, that will be 7x, then you'll have negative 8 times 2x, you get negative 16, then you have negative 8 and 7, negative 54. So with that, we only need to put the like terms together. If the student was able to open the brackets there correctly, 1 mark, then putting the like terms together, ending up with this equation, another 1 mark. Now the issue is to factorize, or to solve this by factorization. So you're looking for two numbers, their product is negative 72 and the sum is negative 1. The two numbers are negative 9 and positive 8. Good. With that, we were able to do the factorization here until a student ends with this. This is where the mark is. Remember what has happened here. You express the second term using the two integers, like this and this. So if the student was able to go to this one, you get 1 mark. Then finally, getting the values of x, the two values of x, answer 1 for the 4 mark for the first part A. Remember, this is part A. Part B of it, you're given two guys here. Yeah, you're given John, who traveled or did cycle for 6 kilometers using a speed of 2x minus 3. And Peter, who did 2.4 kilometers and walking for at an average speed of x kilometers per hour. You're given that the time difference, the difference between the time taken by John and Peter is 16 minutes, of which John used more time. So with that, the time taken by John, subtract the time taken by Peter, you get 16 over 60. Just convert it to hours. By doing that, method 1. What is expected of the student is to simplify this equation here, then solve it. So like in this case, we can get the LCM of these two numbers here. Then we do the multiplication, then 6 times x, 6x, then the whole of these multiplied by 2.4, you get that equals to, this one can be simplified by 4 by 4, 15. If the student is able to operate this until the student ends with this equation there, 1 mark for the method. Going on, this question cannot be solved by factorization, so we go using the quadratic formula. That is simply the quadratic formula. So the student being able to substitute the values here, another method 1. Yes, and remember it's to have this as the A, this is B, and that is C in the formula. So substituting that, we get two values. One value is positive, yes, that is positive. The other one is negative. By getting these two, if the student is able to get these two, 1, so if the student is able to get these two values, that is the values of x for the equation that we have, the quadratic equations that we have. Then we have the very final part. You are asked to find the time John took. If the student is able to come over here and substitute the value of x, remember in this case, x will be positive. We are talking about x representing speed. It cannot be negative, so it is positive. So representing or replacing x there, yeah, by the student doing that, that is a 1 mark. I can see 6 over 2x minus 3. Then with that, you'll have it 6 over 9 hours, which you can multiply by 60. If you multiply by 60, you get 40 minutes for 1 mark. So that is 2 marks. Otherwise, that is question number 21. Question number 22, these are question on vectors. You're given position vector A and B. Then some point M and N, as you can read there in the question. Part A, you're supposed to find the vector AB. Then Roman 2 of that part A, you find the coordinates of the point M and N. Roman 3 of part A, magnitude of the vector MN. With part B, you have the coordinates of a point C to A. A is not known. So the question is just to determine the value of that A. So you're given the vector CA and OB are also part. Given the position vector OA, it's given to be negative 4, 6. You're given the position vector OB, it's given there. You're also given that there's a point M that is a midpoint of the vector AB. You're also given that a point N here that is the midpoint of the vector OA. Well, the illustration is as it is. The vector OB, you can see it. The vector OA, you can see it in that direction. The coordinates are given there, or the position vectors. First question, you're getting the vector AB. If I want to get from A to B, I'll use the root AO, yes, then added to OB. Good. So with that, I can do the negative of the vector OA, this one. Then I add the vector OB, which is negative 8, 2. So if I am able to do this, I will get the vector AB, negative 4, negative 4. That is part 1. Roman 2, I get the coordinates of M. Coordinates of M. This is the midpoint. Remember, I'm given this point, negative 4, 6, yes, negative 4, 6. And I have this point, negative 8, 2. So if I want to get the coordinate, like the x coordinate, I will add the x coordinate here, add the x coordinate, then divide by 2. So the 2, if I'm able to add this negative 12, then divided by 2 is negative 6. With that, I can do the y-axis or the y-coordinates. It will be the 6 plus 2, 6 plus 2 divided by 2. I'll get that. So by that, I have the b mark for that. Then I go to the second one. I'm supposed to find the coordinates of n. The vector OA, that is a position vector. With that, I can just get a half of it, a half of the coordinates of that point. So a half of 4 negative, it's negative 2. A half of 6 is that. So again, I have done that. That one is well done. Roman 3, I'm supposed to find the magnitude of the vector mn. The magnitude of mn. That is the vector mn. So first of all, I find the vector mn. And that would be the n minus m. So like in this one, I have the coordinates of m. M I have 6, 4, or negative 6, 4. Negative 6, 4. Then I subtract, that is m, then n. I subtract the 1 for n. As simple as that. When I do that, I'll get the vector mn to be negative 4, 1. That is where I get another b mark there. Remember, the magnitude will be the x coordinate squared, then added to the y coordinate squared, everything under square root. This will be the square root of 17. Then if you do the square root of 17, and this way you get another mark, then you get the answer there, 4.123. Good, we go to this. We're supposed to find, you're given that there is another vector, CA. Maybe I can sketch it here. Something like that. You're given that there's a point C with the coordinate 2A, and this vector CA is parallel to OB. So the question is, you find the value of this A. So remember, this vector and this vector are very parallel. So what exactly should I do? I can express the vector CA. So remember, if I have this, yes, I need to get the vector CA. I'll do CO plus OA. So it's the same as having vector A, yes, vector A subtract C. That is A minus C. And that's all that I've done. This is vector A as it was given, yes, vector A. Then minus vector C, 2A, that I know it is 2A. So with that, this will be negative 6. This will be 6 minus A. Well, that one. Remember that you're given this, that vector CA is parallel to OB. And having said that, it means there is a constant such that if I multiply the vector B, I'll get vector C. That will be negative 6, 6 minus A as a vector there, is equals to a constant, yes, a constant, then multiplied by the vector B, or the position vector OB. So therefore I can use the upper one, and it will be negative 6 equals to negative 8k. And for that I can now solve for k by dividing here by negative 8, divide here by negative 8. If you do that, you will get that. Remember the marking here. If the student was able to do this, that's where the first point is. If the student was able to solve for k, okay, for k no mark there, then if you are able now to do using the lower one, I can use the lower, the y coordinates here, that 6 minus a equals to 2k. Then you substitute k in. That's how you get another mark. Then you go ahead and solve for A, which will be 4 and 1 over 2.5. That's the question on vectors that requires the student to having practiced well. Question number 23, this is a question on statistics. You have ungrouped data, very raw data. So the student was expected to do the tarring, group the data, the class interval is given. The first class is given, that is 40 to 44. The student is to come up with the frequency. Then the midpoint, multiply the frequency by the midpoint, then cumulative frequency. And that will help the student work out the questions. With part B, the model class. Part C, Roman 1, the mean mass. Then part C, Roman 2, the student is to work out the median mass. The student was given ungrouped data. So the student was to group the data, then proceed with the working. So the class interval was to be 5 years. The lowest class, the student is guided very clearly to start from 40 to 44. Remember, that is 5 units there. Now, the student was to do the tarring very carefully to determine the frequency of each class. But before that, the classes 40 to 44, 45 to 49, 70 to 74. And that's where the students score the first one, just for having the classes. Then after the tarring, after doing the tarring for the numbers, the numbers in each class, then coming up with all the frequency, another bonus point. Then the student was to work out the value of x, the midpoint, the 40 plus 44 divided by 2, all the way. The lower class boundaries add to the upper class boundaries divided by 2. So all that coming up with the midpoints, another one or bonus point. Then the student was to do fx, the frequency times the value of x here, the midpoint. Then coming up with all these years, including the summation here, the student was to score another bonus point. So basically that is the table. And once the student has the table, is able to do all the questions pertaining to the data here. The first point of this was part A, to complete the table. Part B, the model class, the class with the highest frequency. The highest frequency in this case is 8. So the model class is 50 to 54 for another bonus point there. Good. We go on. Part C, Roman 1. The student was to work out the mean mark, the x bar for the data. The x bar is always given by the summation of fx divided by the summation of frequency. So as I have done there, yes, if the student was able to extract these, then the answer there, 1. Part C, Roman 2, the median mark. The median mark will always be given by the lower class limit of the median class, then added to the summation or the frequency, that is the total frequency, over 2 minus cumulative frequency above the median class, divided by frequency of the median class times the class interval. That formula is there in your books. But we need first of all to identify the median class. The total frequency 40 divided by 2, 20. So first of all, the student is to come up with the cumulative frequency. That is 4 plus 0, 4, 4 plus 7, 11, 4, 11 plus 8, 19, all the way to the very last one. You ask yourself, where is the 20th student? If I consider this, the 20th student lies here. Because up to this point, cumulatively, those are 19 students. So the 20th student, the median student, is at this class. So this one, 55 to 59, we consider it as the median class. That is the median class. So if this is the median class, then that is where we will extract all the data we need there. So for this one, the 20th student is there. So in this case, what is the lower class limit? This class extends back to 54.5. So that is the median, the lower class limit of the median class. So with that, then we have 40 divided by 2 is 20. 20 minus the cumulative frequency above the median class, 20 minus 19, over the frequency of the median class multiplied by the class interval that originally were given to be 5. So having done that, this is 1 over 6 times 5. This is 5 over 6. You add to this one. Finally, you'll get your median to be 55 and a third. You can decide to write it as 55.3 recurring. And for the answer, 1 mark. Then for the working here, that is a method 1. Remember here we had 4 marks. This is another third one. This had 2 marks. Yes. Then this is the first one. Up to this, another method mark. Then the answer, 3 marks. That is a question on statistics. Well done. Not very difficult to handle. Question number 24. This is differentiation. The student has been given a function. The function is given there. Part A, Roman 1, the student is to find the value of y when x is -2. Then Roman 2 of part A, the student is to find the equation of a tangent to this curve at a point x is equals to -2. Then finally part B, it's to determine the coordinates of the turning points of this curve.
Now, in this question, the first question we were given is y is equals to that x cubic minus a half x squared minus 2x minus a third. We were supposed to find the value of y, when x is equals to 2. So the student was expected to substitute, whenever there is x, substitute -2. By correctly substituting the value of -x in this equation, a student is supposed to earn an M1, which is a method mark. And by correctly substituting and calculating it, you'll find the value of y equal to a -1. That one, a student is supposed to substitute to get -1, and A mark. In Roman 2 of the equation, we were supposed to find the equation of the tangent at x is equals to -2. Now, for us to get the equation of the tangent, first of all, we need to get the gradient. And we have to get the gradient function by differentiating the original equation dy dx. This is the gradient function. A student earns a method mark by correctly differentiating the equation. And to get the gradient, you need to substitute the value of x in the gradient function. We are getting a gradient when x is equals to -2, whereby our gradient will be 4. And this point here, we have not gotten the equation because our main objective was to get the equation. Our gradient is 4. Using the concept of finding the gradient of a line in the Form 2 class, where we have a gradient is equals to change in y over change in x, then we know the value of y, we know the value of x. Therefore, it will be y minus, which will bring us about a positive, over x minus -2, which will give us equal to 4. By so forming that equation, we get what we call another method mark. Cross multiplication. We have y plus 1 is equals to 4x plus 8. A student has correctly multiplied. But at this point, the student has not put all like terms together. So we need to wait until the student putting the correct terms together, and which will give us a mark. We got the part P of the question, which was testing about turning points. What a student should know is at any turning point, the gradient function is equals to 0. dy dx equal to 0. That is at any turning point. Therefore, a student must have found the derivative at this point. So we don't need him or her to go back and do again. We can now, a student can take x squared minus x minus 2 is equals to 0. By equating the equation to 0, student gets a method mark by correct equating it to 0. Therefore, we wait. A student has to do factorize this such that he can get the value of x. He can use factorization method, he can use completing square method, or he can use a quadratic formula. All of them can earn equal mark. So by the student doing the correct factorization and finding the equation x plus 1 into bracket x minus 2 equal to 0, the student earns another method mark, which is a correct factorization. And therefore, for a student to earn an A mark, he has to get two values of x, whereby x plus 1 should be equated to 0. X plus 1 equal to 0, which will end up giving you x equal to negative 1. And x minus 2 equal to 0, which will give you x is equals to 2. Therefore, we have two values of x, and that is where a student gets correct mark. At that point, we have not found a turning point. That's not a turning point. It is two values of x where that we have the turning points. So we need to find the value of y. By finding the value of y, so we start from when x, because that is a turning point. When x equal to negative 1, what is the value of y? And if you substitute correctly, you'll find the value of y being 5/6, which is a turning point. And 2, you substitute in the original equation we were given when x is equals to 2. And if you substitute x is equals to 2, you'll find the value of y being 11/3. 11/3. But we cannot leave our answer in terms of 11/3 because that is an improper fraction. So we find our value being y is equals to 2/3. And therefore, our turning points becomes negative 2/3 being another turning point. That is where the student scores a B mark. And that is what the student is expected to have scored the 10 marks.
Otherwise, that was the end of the paper. Thank you so much to all the YouTube teachers who have referred your work, be it Safina High School, Mwalimu Hassan, among very many others. Thank you to my colleague, Mr. Finley, for your guidance and even doing number 24 for us. Thank you. My friends, keep subscribing, keep commenting, keep viewing. God bless you.